You will not believe what happened when Kirk Frost and Yung Joc saw each other. They used to be very close friends, and fans really liked their friendship. But everything changed quickly. They got into a big fight, and now their friendship is over. What really caused this to happen? Was it just one mistake, or have they been upset with each other for a long time? Keep watching, because the real reason behind their fight is more serious than anyone thought, especially in the world of reality shows and hip-hop. Fame, money, and personal problems can really test a friendship. Kirk Frost and Yung Joc, who are both known from the show Love and Hip Hop, used to be very close. Fans enjoyed seeing their strong bond. But things took a bad turn when they got into a sudden fight that broke their friendship completely. What looked like a close and loyal friendship turned into a big problem right in front of the cameras. So what really happened? Was it just a quick argument, or have they been holding in their feelings for a long time? The tension between them had been building for a long time, and the truth behind this fight is not easy to see at first. In this video, we will talk about what really happened and why things got so bad. We will look at the real reasons, the hidden feelings, and the events that led to this surprising moment. This is a story about a broken friendship, quiet anger, and secrets that no one saw coming. You will learn about the important moments before the fight, the true reasons their friendship ended, and what this means for both of them in the future. So sit back and get ready, because what we are about to reveal might change everything you thought you knew about Kirk Frost and Yung Joc's friendship. Their bond did not form overnight. It grew over many years, built on respect and shared experiences in the music and entertainment world. Both men became well known in the early days of Southern hip-hop. Yung Joc made a splash with his hit song, It's Going Down, while Kirk Frost made a name for himself as a big figure behind the scenes in the industry. In the Atlanta music scene, their paths crossed at a time when both were about to reach big milestones in their careers. It did not take long for them to become friends, and their bond seemed as strong as their growing careers. For years, the two were seen together, not just as business partners, but as real friends who supported each other. Their friendship was built on trust and help. Kirk, with his years of experience in the music industry, would give Yung Joc advice on how to succeed in the business. At the same time, Joc, being the younger and more public figure, would help bring attention to Kirk's work and support him in his own way. Kirk introduced Yung Joc to the world of social media, where attention and influence were growing fast. Together, they built a friendship based on trust, respect, and a love for what they did. This strong bond made their public fight so surprising to everyone. To fans, these two men seemed untouchable. They were always seen smiling, joking, and sharing good times both on and off the screen. But behind the scenes, there were signs that things might not be as perfect as they seemed. Still, no one could have predicted the fallout that would happen. Their friendship took a surprising turn. The tension started small, but it grew over time. The public had no idea about the trouble that was building, and to everyone watching, their friendship still looked strong and loyal. However, as the saying goes, things are not always what they seem. Small problems can turn into big ones, and for Kirk Frost and Yung Joc, those small problems began to show in small ways. In the world of music and entertainment, where the pressure is high and egos often clash, it did not take long for these small issues to become much bigger. Sometimes small issues can grow into big problems and affect friendships. The first signs of tension between Kirk and Yung Joc started to show as their careers took different paths. Yung Joc, always the more visible of the two, started to gain more public attention, mostly because of his role on the reality show, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The show made Joc a household name, sharing his personal life with millions of viewers. However, with all this new fame came challenges that began to change things between him and Kirk. With new fame came a lot of pressure. Every move Joc made, every relationship he had, and every mistake he made became a topic of public discussion. While his career in both TV and music was growing, it was clear that the spotlight was starting to take a toll on him. On the other hand, Kirk Frost, who always preferred staying behind the scenes, focused on his business and family. While his role in the music industry remained important, it did not face the same public attention or judgment as Joc's. Over time, it became clear that Kirk and Joc were heading in different directions. Kirk began to feel the weight of being in the shadow of his friend's growing fame. He had built his success through strong relationships, steady business moves, and working behind the scenes where he could avoid public attention. But as Joc's fame grew, Kirk's frustration also started to grow. The tension between them was not just about work anymore. It became personal. There were rumors in the industry that Kirk felt overshadowed by Joc's rise to fame. He had always been the steady one behind the scenes, but now everything seemed to be changing. The sudden shift in attention left Kirk struggling with his own sense of identity and his value in the business. It was not just about his ego, it was about feeling left behind, standing in the shadow of someone who had once been a peer, a partner, and a friend. But what truly began to crack? Their friendship was something deeper than the pressure of fame and business. It was personal betrayal. As the spotlight grew brighter on Yung Joc, he found himself caught up in several personal issues that only added to the growing tension. Scandals started to follow Joc, some about his relationships and others about his public behavior. Even though many of these issues were personal, they began to affect the professional relationship he had with Kirk. This is when the rumors started. Behind closed doors, people began to wonder, did Kirk feel betrayed by Joc's actions? Did he feel like Joc was not the person he thought he was? More importantly, could Kirk still deal with these personal scandals as a friend? The pressure was growing for both of them. For both men, the line between loyalty and frustration started to become unclear. However, the breaking point did not come from public attention or pressure. It came from something much more personal. It was a moment of tension that changed their relationship forever. What happens when a friendship, built on years of trust and shared experiences, suddenly falls apart? For Kirk Frost and Yung Joc, the breaking point was not something far away or expected. It was one shocking incident that pushed them past their limits, breaking a bond that once seemed unbreakable. The tension between them had been growing for years, and it all started with a disagreement. While it might have seemed small to someone else, for Kirk and Joc, it was the moment that set everything off. The details of the argument are not clear, but the main issue was a business decision that caused their personal and professional lives to clash. Kirk, who had always been the steady one in their business, felt that Joc had crossed a line. Joc, now facing more pressure from both the public and his peers, made a decision that Kirk felt went too far. The years of friendship and trust were suddenly put aside. It was no longer just about the money, the deal, or the professional choice. It was about respect. The argument became very heated, with both men saying things that hurt more than they expected. What followed were a series of angry talks that quickly got out of control. Hidden resentments, years of unspoken tension, and frustrations that had been kept inside came out during that moment. What could have been a chance to make things right turned into the final breaking point. The damage to their friendship was deep. After that heated moment, things only got worse. The media, always quick to cover the latest celebrity drama, got hold of the story. However, the true impact of what happened between Kirk and Joc was not fully understood by the public, not yet. Behind closed doors, Kirk struggled with feelings of betrayal, while Joc faced the pressure of balancing his fame and personal life. As the fallout continued, both men had no choice but to deal with the consequences of what had happened. What started as a simple disagreement over a business decision soon turned into something much deeper. It became an emotional battle involving their self-worth, past mistakes, and their struggles to meet each other's expectations. But here is where it gets even more surprising. After the fight, things began to spiral out of control, and what happened next left both of them and their followers shocked. As the weeks went by, it became clear that the gap between them could not be fixed. The tension that had been building up had reached a point where there was no way to repair it. The tension that had been building for so long finally exploded into something much more public and painful. Both men started sharing their frustrations in public spaces. What used to be private became something everyone could see, turning their friendship into a bitter and broken relationship. One of the most surprising moments happened when Joc made a direct comment during a live interview. While talking about his career and personal life, he casually mentioned how difficult it was to maintain some relationships. suggesting that certain friendships had become too hard to keep. In the entertainment business, many people believe that relationships have an expiration date. Joc's comment was seen by many as a clear shot at Kirk, and it did not take long for fans and followers to react. The loyal fans who once loved seeing them together started to pick sides, with some questioning how two men, who once seemed inseparable, could turn on each other so quickly. But the real shock came when Kirk spoke out in an exclusive interview. His words were honest and direct, clearly stating that their friendship could not be repaired. The most surprising part was that he openly admitted it, making it clear that their bond was broken for good. In his interview, Kirk opened up about their private arguments, sharing personal attacks, feelings of betrayal, and the real reason their friendship ended. His words were honest and emotional, a big change from the image he had kept for so many years. He said that, while he once saw Joc as a brother, he could no longer pretend their friendship was the same. Kirk explained how he felt there was no loyalty, that he had been taken for granted, and how the final straw for him came when Joc refused to take responsibility for his actions. It was clear from his words how much this situation had hurt him. Kirk's confession shocked fans, especially those who had looked up to them as the perfect example of friendship. While the media continued to speculate, Joc's side stayed quiet at first, but this only added more tension. Fans were eager to hear his side of the story. Was there more to what happened that we did not know? Would Joc ever address the growing rumors? As the fallout between Kirk and Joc grew, it became clear that the strong bond they once shared seemed to be beyond repair. The emotional weight of everything that happened left their friendship in question, and fans wondered if there was any hope for them to make up. The weight of their words, along with the growing pressure from fans, family, and the public, turned their personal dispute into a huge spectacle. What makes this situation so interesting, and really heartbreaking, is the clear difference between loyalty and business. The world they lived in often tested friendships because of the pressure of fame, business deals, and the constant attention. For Kirk and Joc, this tension grew much stronger in a way neither of them expected. Kirk had always valued loyalty above everything, but now, that loyalty was being questioned. Kirk had always been a strong supporter in Joc's life, from their early days in the industry to their shared business projects. Kirk was more than just a business partner. He was someone Joc could trust and talk to. However, as their careers grew, so did their professional needs. Yung Joc got caught up in new business opportunities and growing public attention, while Kirk started to feel more and more left out in the world of entertainment. It became clear that it was not just about the music or business deals anymore. It was about trust and having someone to rely on when things got hard. When Kirk and Joc first met, they had a deep bond built on mutual support. They once shared a deep understanding of what their partnership meant. However, over time, that understanding began to fade. What started as a brotherhood based on respect slowly turned into a series of business decisions where emotions were often ignored. But here is the twist. It was not just the business choices that pulled them apart. It was their failure to talk about the growing emotional distance between them. They never had the tough conversations. They never sat down and talked about how their friendship was changing. Instead, they allowed their feelings to build up without addressing them. They let small problems grow, turning into something much bigger than either of them expected. As the fallout continued, both men had to face the truth about their situation. For Joc, it became a personal struggle between holding on to his professional success and trying to fix the important relationships in his life. For Kirk, it hit him hard that he had put so much into their friendship and could not just let it fall apart without understanding why things had fallen apart so publicly. But what happened next surprised everyone. The fight reached a whole new level when Joc finally spoke up in an exclusive interview. In a way no one expected, he shared his side of the story. This interview became a turning point that surprised everyone. Joc did not just respond to Kirk's public confession. He opened up about what had really been happening behind the scenes. His words were carefully chosen, but they still hit hard. He gave fans an emotional insight that made viewers question everything they thought they knew. Joc started by acknowledging that Kirk had played an important role in his journey. However, he also took the opportunity to share his frustration with how Kirk had acted over the years. Joc explained that he often felt Kirk cared more about the business side of things than about their friendship. Although he admitted that their argument had gotten much bigger than either of them expected. Joc pointed out that Kirk had been too emotional and had held on to grudges for too long. "I get it," Joc said, "but there comes a time when you have to move past the past." Joc's tone softened as he continued. "I understand the pain, but at the end of the day, business is business. If we are not growing, we are simply fading away. Maybe that is what happened between us. Maybe we just got stuck in the past." With these words, Joc opened up more about his thoughts. He shared that he struggled to move on from their old issues, but he also made it clear that Kirk's unwillingness to change and keep up with the fast-moving entertainment world had created a lot of tension between them. This had been bothering Joc for months, and now he was finally speaking his mind. Joc's words were hard to hear, and they left fans shocked. He shared something many never expected, that their fallout was not just about business or disagreements. There was something deeper. Joc revealed that Kirk had been dealing with jealousy over his success. He said that Kirk had been holding on to old hurts and personal doubts, which started to affect their friendship more than either of them realized at the time. Joc's words really opened people's eyes. He explained that the jealousy wasn't just about the music, the money, or the business deals. It was much deeper. Joc said, "It was about the fact that I was out there making moves, and Kirk felt like he was getting left behind." That was the truth no one knew. This changed everything. Fans now realized that what seemed like a small business issue was actually a bigger struggle, a fight of egos, insecurities, and things that had never been said out loud. Joc's honest words showed that their friendship was not as simple as it appeared. Their friendship did not start falling apart just because of a few bad choices. It had been slowly breaking down for much longer than anyone had realized. So, where do things stand now? As their public fallout continued, it seemed like Kirk and Joc were each going in their own separate directions. The big question was, could they ever fix what had been broken? Could they ever return to being the friends and partners they once were? Right now, it does not seem like reconciliation is anywhere in sight. Both men have been focusing on their own individual careers, and the trust that once held them together seems to have vanished. The bond that once held them together now seems broken beyond repair. Fans are left wondering and hoping that someday, these two friends will find a way to fix what has been torn apart. But for now, the damage is done. As the months passed and the shock of Kirk Frost and Yung Joc's fallout continued to echo through the entertainment world, everyone began to ask one question: will they ever make up? Can two men, who once stood side by side, sharing dreams, struggles, and victories, truly heal from such a painful split? Or is this the end of their story? After the fallout, both Kirk and Joc have gone their separate ways, each focused on their own lives. Kirk, staying true to his loyalty to family, continues to grow his personal brand. He keeps his private life mostly to himself, but does not shy away from talking about how important it is for him to keep moving forward, even with the challenges in his relationships. For Kirk, his family and mental health are now his top priorities. He often mentions how those have become his focus, especially when reflecting on the split with Joc. On the other hand, Yung Joc, on the other hand, became more focused on his music career. He made more public appearances and worked on new projects that showed how much he was growing as both an artist and a businessman. Even with all his success, there seemed to be a part of him that still struggled with how public the feud with Kirk had become. Joc had always valued loyalty, and the fact that he had fallen out with someone who had once been so close to him continued to trouble him deeply. Now, the real question is, what happens when two men who were once like brothers find themselves facing different paths, each dealing with their own personal and professional challenges? The weight of their public dispute could not be ignored, but both men continued to thrive in their own ways. Kirk focused on his family, making loyalty and personal connections his priority. Meanwhile, Joc put his energy into the music world, working hard to maintain his career. Despite their success, the big question still hung in the air. Could they ever fix their friendship? Now, let's take a closer look at how both of them are moving forward and what their futures might look like without each other. For Kirk Frost, Family and loyalty are at the heart of his future. From the start, he has always made sure his family comes first, working hard to support and be there for them. His priorities shifted toward building a stable, loving environment, leaving the public spotlight behind as much as possible. After the fallout, Kirk focused on what mattered the most: his family. In many interviews, he talked about how important it was for him to create a safe and stable home for his loved ones. Even though losing his friendship with Yung Joc was very painful, he made sure it did not take away from his responsibilities as a husband and father. Some people even thought that Kirk's attention on his family might have played a part in the end of his bond with Joc. They used to share everything and be very close, but over time, their connection started to weaken. The business side of their relationship became too difficult to handle. Kirk put his family first, which caused tensions with Joc as their personalities and career goals clashed. This led to a breakdown that affected not only their work, but also their personal lives. Even so, Kirk's career in the entertainment industry remains strong. However, it is clear that he now values personal growth and family more. He often shares on social media how much he loves and appreciates his family. Kirk spends his time with his children and wife, celebrating special moments in their lives and keeping away from unnecessary drama. His ability to move forward with grace and focus on what truly matters has been admired by his fans, even though the memory of his fallout with Joc still lingers. Meanwhile, Yung Joc continues to move forward with strength and determination. His career is growing with fresh ideas and energy. He stays active by working on different projects, such as teaming up with other artists in music and making appearances in the media. Joc has been able to stay relevant in the fast-changing world of entertainment. He has never been afraid to face controversy, and his skill at reinventing himself has been truly impressive. However, the emotional strain of his fallout with Kirk still lingers behind the scenes. As a smart businessman, Joc made sure the situation did not affect his career, but dealing with his personal life has been much harder. His regular activity on social media, new music releases, and hard work in business have all been part of his effort to keep moving forward. Joc keeps working hard to stay ahead, but those who know him well can see that the feud with Kirk has left a lasting emotional impact. One of the most interesting parts of Joc's journey after the fallout is how his attitude has changed. Although he was upset with Kirk in the beginning, Joc has started to talk about the importance of growing and learning from mistakes. This shift in his thinking shows that, even with the public fallout, he may be realizing that both personal and professional relationships need constant effort and honest communication to succeed. The question remains whether Joc can take this new attitude and use it to reconnect with Kirk. If reconciliation is ever going to happen, it will be a long and difficult journey. Both of them will need to show humility, understanding, and a willingness to heal. Kirk will have to confront his feelings of betrayal and accept that Joc's career might have demanded more attention than their friendship. On the other hand, Joc will need to let go of any jealousy or resentment he feels about Kirk's lack of support. It will take open minds, open hearts, and a lot of effort from both sides to rebuild their bond. The two men would need to open up to each other in ways they never have before. They would have to set aside the pressure of fame and business, allowing their true feelings to come through without any barriers. So far, neither Kirk nor Joc has shown any public steps toward fixing their relationship. Even so, it is still possible that one day they might reconnect. Many fans hope to see them rebuild their bond, as their friendship was once one of the strongest and most admired in the entertainment world. Even after everything, the drama, the conflict, and the fallout, there is still a chance their paths could meet again, maybe in a way no one expects. Could they work together on a project in the future? Could they sit down and talk through their differences? Could the friendship they once shared spark again, catching them both by surprise? For now, these remain unanswered questions, and all we can do is wait and see what lies ahead for them.